I was calling to let you know that I didn't have I have my identification card, but it's expired. Does everything have to be current?
I do need a current government issued ID. That's correct, Monique.
Okay, okay, then I'll get that and then I'll bring the application back in.
Okay, thank you. That's what you were calling to clarify. Any other questions?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Oh,
The proof of income is good. So with the I mean with the verification, you said the ID, the birth certificate, the social, and the proof of income.
there's a list on your application that lets you know what are the qualified or acceptable forms of ID and income. So whatever you have on the list, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, this is Monique that arrived at my office engaging in terrorism with the same entity. And when she was in my office, group stalking right here, and Carla Lopez, affiliated with speaker companies, engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is terrorism that you're subject to on the job while the demon possessed are working for a third party company. This is the entity that's employing you, the entity that's working with you at the facility and venue with the people of the state who are coming onto the grounds to engage in the pattern of conduct. The African American female whose image I captured, she was group stalking in my office and maintaining the specific environment. Her phone was a means of light activity. It was substantial light activity. Flashing was what she was engaging in with regard to maintaining presence right here. So that's how the elements of monitoring were underway. And then you also had Carla Lopez, who was behind me right here in the key box. I want you to see. So all he was doing was grabbing keys, maintaining noise. All right. They were demons engaging in that together. I want to be clear. The entity engaging in the pattern of conduct around you is terrorism, and that's documented terrorism occurring in the workplace in concert with the entity that is obsessively stalking, just like you saw this morning, flying over my head in my office by helicopter, and they're acting together with the state. That's Monique, who is acting with simultaneity to what I'm documenting on my phone. So this is with simultaneity, using the phone as a means of audible activity while they are witnessing what I'm documenting, what I'm publishing on my phone. So as I make a little snippet video of what is Universal Waste Systems Incorporated engaging in what is the outward demonstration of demon possession, you're going to see it again. Not only is it ever impossible that it happens once, they are documented engaging in what is a pattern of terrorism via directed light. This is very serious federal offenses that this commercial actor, a third party, the people of the state. I want to be clear what Universal Waste Systems is engaging in. It is evidence against all of the people of the state. All of them are doing that. This is what they're doing, and they're doing it in the specific environment. I don't have to know the name of the barista at Starbucks at 706 West Hall Boulevard. They're all engaging in the same identical pattern of conduct. Understand the significance of that. All right. But nonetheless, I've captured hundreds and thousands of people doing the same impossible activity. Sunlight is not ricocheting off your car like we're in a video game because you're driving a car under what's supposedly the sun. Evidence is also revealing that that's not even the natural sun. And the entity engages in this when you don't even have what is the external circumstances, which is never going to support an impossible occurrence. But in other words, I'm stating they're doing it while they're in the shade. While they're in the shade, that light activity is occurring. That is speaking to the light activity you see on the ceiling inside of my apartment. The demon possessed are engaging in what is surveillance. This is what I was speaking to with regard to the state using my phone, engaging in what is the creation of a false narrative while all the entity is monitoring. This is what Kay Wilder engaged in, stating that she's called several times. That's a lie. It's audible activity. It's also occurring on a recorded line related to my job. My job is monitoring me, but this is what the entity engages in. They use the telephone as a means of monitoring. There is no phone calls that are happening outside of the pattern of conduct. You know this while the entity is engaging with a stalking via directed light while you're just driving your car. You know this because the sun is rising and setting at the same address. That's how you're aware of that. They're also engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. The demon that engaged in documented terrorism, engaging in the same exact psychotic stalking behavior by a demon who was engaging in group stalking, coming onto the grounds to engage in criminal activity just like Monique did, and like she's still monitoring me on a communication device in concert with the state. And Miko and her son documented engaging in that same impossible conduct while a line of demons in their vehicles are crossing paths, including Center for Better Life, who arrived again to engage in terrorism via Ty Yim of 1810 number 4, is emailing. This is federal stalking conduct on the video of the internet. This is the entity that's emailing me about an application that she submitted for purposes of engaging in the pattern of conduct. Okay, this is what is coexisting, and this is why it's also irrelevant what they're doing while the pattern of conduct is underway. This is how state surveillance is occurring, and this entity thought, and this is how they operate, because they are unplugging a toilet, because they are installing tile, because they are painting a room, that they have some legal argument when they are surrounded by the body of evidence. It is legally irrelevant, and you're talking about highly malicious and criminal conduct by a government. This is what corruption is going to paint itself as, by the way. This is duh. That's duh. Okay. This is their whole system of corruption. And by the way, it's not even intelligent. And in a court of law, by the way, any intelligent observer, which is what attorneys are for, this is why you have people who are skilled in the law, all right, in dissecting facts. There's nothing that you're doing, and any objective observer that knows what they're doing, when you are getting to what is a matter of public corruption, you're going to pierce behind the veil of what may be the external appearance of what's going on. So who cares, in other words, that you're painting a room while you're monitoring someone in relevant position and online? Okay, this is what the entity is relying on. And in other words, like I said, I'm not going to go into that. All of the obstacles presented to the ordinary target individual who is subject to this criminal system when you are engaged in an all-out confession, admission against yourself and the entity, when you are obsessively stalking me 24 hours a day in helicopters. And that is shared by the multiple police departments, okay, who also are monitoring while an entity is supposed to have the sun over these courthouses. There's no sun over the courthouse when you engage in the idiotic behavior, providing me evidence of what's not the natural environment, because it's going to go back to what I documented at that courthouse. That wasn't the natural environment either. It's impossible. This is how you were surrounding a demon-possessed entity that is consumed with obsession. But I want to be clear, it's legally relevant. That obsession is legally relevant. It poses a public safety concern. The entity does not in any way cease to engage in the criminal system. That's a threat to your life and your liberty. They're kidnapping people, defaming them, and then drugging them to the extent to where the ordinary target individual relents. Okay, they're not trying to enforce their rights. They don't even know what's happening to them. They're so drugged by the demon possessed, by the way, who are holding positions in these facilities, like I documented the pattern of conduct. They're calling themselves doctors and psychiatrists and therapists. They're monitoring, and they're demons. That's what you really need to know. The demon-possessed population are strategically placed in society in this state, and they're monitoring you and seeking to conceal the fact that they're monitoring you. All right. And it's criminal conduct in violation of existing federal law. Criminal surveillance. The entity has no warrant or probable cause to maintain the specific environment around you where they are maintaining presence. That's why I don't care what your address is. I'm going to use your address as a means of documenting you, and you're going to be prosecuted. And the facts and circumstances will determine whether or not you're actually going to federal prison. But all of them are losing custody of the minor children that they're in custody of. All of them. The entity is engaging in what is federal stalking via the corrupt misuse of businesses. This is what Universal Waste System is demonstrating, and it is shared by Amazon Prime, FedEx, UPS, you name it. They're documenting, they're engaging in the same exact identical pattern of conduct. There is no selection between, oh, it's some of them and it's only this one, but it's not that one. No, that's why you have the specific environment. Okay, that's why the entity is engaging in presence in this environment, because it is a state system. And there is no exception. And the entity is at all times, at all locations, wherever you go. That's why you capture, for example, when I went to UPS in Glendale, the light source did not remain stationary over me here at 1810 North Alvarado Street. That light source remained over the windshield over my head as I was in Uber, a third-party documented group stalker. And that light source remained over me as we drove down on Alvarado and then on the side street going down toward Glendale Boulevard. That's where that light source remained over me. The entity sought to conceal that light source, but that's a documented pattern of conduct that you're seeing day in and day out when I'm on Route 61, Route 14, Route 83, Route 66 of Omnitrans and Metrolink. It's impossible that would be the sun. That's a documented pattern of conduct, okay? It is currently, again, 9:30 a.m., and this is P.O.C. This is why all are subject to what is federal prison upon federal prosecution. And you're talking about civil and criminal prosecution of these commercial actors engaging and facilitating a state's corrupt system of surveillance and federal stalking on the venue of the internet. This is workplace terrorism and harassment and sexual violence that I'm subject to. Going to the obsessive extinct, a whole demon-possessed population is monitoring me, even using the phone ringing at the moment that it does. All right, that's Monique. She's already documented, and she's engaged in federal stalking behavior right now on behalf of an entity while they're all monitoring what I'm doing on my phone. So in other words, pay attention also, because what I documented is another video of evidence against a whole entity, because this light activity that Universal Waste is engaging in, that light activity, when you pay attention to what I captured on June 23rd, 2022, there's a demon group stalking in a vehicle crossing paths with me at the courthouse, and engineered light is moving all across that courthouse. That is the same exact impossible occurrence under what is not possibly the sun, because it's going to be right here over me at 10:29 in the morning. Okay, let's look at the time. 9:31 in 12 minutes. All right, the light source is going to be here. It's not going to be at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. There is no sunlight that's ricocheting off of your car and swiping across surfaces. Those are demons that are stalking you. Those demons are sitting in courts right now, and they're waiting to be exposed and prosecuted. And those that engaged in exercise of fictitious authority to kidnap somebody and defame someone, myself, they're going to federal prison. And that's why you see what Universal Waste engaged in today, again, on behalf of a whole entity. That's exactly what was underway at the courthouse of what is Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where the entity is also documented engaging in stalking by helicopter. All of the hallmarks. Okay, the hallmarks revealing what are demon possessed, strategically placed in the courts in this country, because California is doing what is going on in this country. Okay, it is currently again 9:32 a.m. and this is POC.